Let's take a breath before we even begin. Inhale, hold, exhale. Let your shoulders drop, let your jaw unclench. Alignment is easy when life is calm. When you have your routine, your morning cacao, your journal by the window. But what about when chaos hits? When someone you love is spiraling? When your schedule's a mess? When your body is in shutdown and the noise won't stop? That's when the real work begins. If this is your first time here with us, welcome. My name is Donna Elgin, Contrarian Soul Guide, Visionary Mystic, and Creatrix of Practical Spiritualism. And I am so glad you're here. So, what is alignment really? Well, alignment isn't about having your life together. It's not about being perfect or having perfect boundaries or even constant clarity. Alignment is your ability to stay safe and your alignment is your ability to stay in connection with your truth, even in the mess. It's being integrity with your soul, even when everything around you is pulling you out of it. In her book, The Way of Integrity, Martha Beck describes alignment as being congruent with your inner self. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions match, you're free. But when they don't, that's when the spiral starts. That's where we have the beginning of dis-ease as opposed to being at ease. So what did I mean by chaos knocks us off center? So chaos can come from anywhere. It can come from the outer world where it looks like chaos. It can also come from the outer world where it actually looks like help. And sometimes what's coming at us is help, but what is maybe our subconscious mind or our ego gets involved, and chaos actually can reign from inside as well. So, to give you a story. This last June, I signed up with a coach to help me work on writing a book, doing speaking, and help me kind of create my business into its next phase, I guess, of life. And so what that could possibly look like in the coaching world, especially these days, and I'm sure it's in other types of industries as well, but everybody talks about expanding your business, less time, more money, that sort of thing. And so a lot of it kind of moves from one-on-one coaching to group coaching or products and that sort of thing. And I was open to it because there's only so much of me to go around, and I wanted to be able to extend into a bigger audience. And so as we were talking about it, one of her first pieces that she brought me was, and not just me, but our group, she said, is visibility. Who sees you? Who's going to buy your book? Who's going to know that you're there to buy it from? And I had some real issues with going public, with being really visible on social media, doing YouTube, doing a podcast, all things that I do now. But I was really struggling with it. And I was struggling with it because I had some old fears about what would happen if I was public, what would happen if I was seen, for lots of reasons, being bullied, all sorts of things that many people have experienced. So I hadn't wanted to be visible, but I leaned into the discomfort and began that. At the same time, while we were discussing that, there was discussion about scaling your business. And now what's interesting is my coach didn't actually tell me to scale my business. She asked if scaling my business was actually the right thing for me right now with my clients and what I'm doing. And it wasn't a don't do it or a do it. She was asking questions about it and didn't want me to just go and do it because everybody said I was supposed to be doing it. So as I was moving through it, some good things came out of it. I created my system, and having a really set system I could walk my one-on-one clients through, as well as do group coaching with. But I realized I didn't actually want to do majority group coaching. I realized that my preference was actually one-on-one, and that when I do group coaching, I actually prefer a hybrid model. I like a small group so that people can feel safe talking with one-on-one, because often we're dealing with a lot of personal things, and somebody might not want to be really open about their dramas and their traumas that they've gone through in their life, while we're working through limiting beliefs and that sort of thing. So a hybrid model just works best for me. But at the time, I was learning about how to scale the business. And so you just kind of get into it. And it's fine because learning's done in black and white. And so you learn all of the do's and all of the don'ts. But after we finish learning something, we're meant to integrate it. We're meant to live in the gray. And what happened was I actually went off center. So my values, which is our values are what help us know what is our truth, what is our center point. And so for me, it's intuition, courage, it is sovereignty, it is loyalty and respect. Usually if I stick with like my three core, if I go sovereignty, intuition, and courage, those three, I've got 6 that I kind of use as a really strong post line for me all the time. But if I stick with those 3, I'm pretty good. And I started to notice I wasn't fully in alignment. And it was when I was actually listening to the book, The Way of Integrity, that some things all of a sudden came forward. And one of the things that had happened was I didn't realize what I was doing was I was actually playing a little small. And what I mean by that is I was softening my edges to not offend anyone too much. And so in the book, The Way of Integrity, Martha Beck talks about contrarian soul guides. And as soon as, when I listened to the book the first time, I heard it, but I didn't really take it in. When I listened to the book the second time, about a month ago, all of a sudden it like hit. And so what happens for me is I have these experiences where my guardians or my guides, I'll feel like somebody's tapping me on the shoulder when I'm listening to something I need to pay attention to. Usually correlates to a question that I've been asking, trying to find some clarity. So I was walking down the path with my dog, and all of a sudden I feel this tapping on my shoulder. I turn expecting somebody to be there. There's not. So as soon as that happens, I was like, oh, gone through it enough. I knew what was going on. So I was like, oh, what was I just listening to? So I backed my book up about 2 minutes and started listening again. And then I replayed this section about contrarian soul guides probably about 5 times. And as I was listening to this portion about contrarian soul guides and their role in the world, where they used to be in ancient times, they were actually in part of kingdoms as well as in tribes all over the world were these contrarian soul guides. They wouldn't dress like the rest of society. They would make fun of social norms. They would even pick on the kings and on the chiefs. So they were, and there was intentional, and part of it was to keep people humble, and part of it was also to stop people from getting stuck into groupthink. And it would kind of shake things up, make people think like, oh, like, do I believe in that? Is that true? And so this was their role. And we've kind of lost that in society. And these are the original spiritual coaches. And so as I was listening to this, I immediately had the thought, oh, that's me. Now, the little voice inside my head immediately said, who do you think you are? Think you're that special? And now I have a pretty solid relationship with this voice. And so the little voice of fear, that little girl, was immediate. My response was, remember, if you don't have something nice to say, shut your cake hole. So I put that down. I go back, I listen a couple more times. I make some notes on my phone. I get home. I tell my husband about this contrarian soul guide. And he looks at me and he goes, it totally sounds like you. You're a contrarian soul guide. And I was like, huh. Interesting. What makes you say that? And he's like, you're always stirring the pot. You're always poking at people, pushing them to think. You always challenging their, and not like meanly, but I'm always like, is that true? And so I will push people to get uncomfortable. And I'll even do it when I'm uncomfortable. And I like doing it. It's who I am. And I'm in this way in all of my relationships, not just my work performance. And so all of a sudden I was like, oh, and it suddenly became really clear to me that part of me had been holding back to fit in at least a bit more. And all of a sudden it was this moment of, no, this is who I am. I'm good with this. And the moment that I let that come fully in, I could clearly understand my coach's question of, are you sure this is what you should be doing? I have 4 coaches. So some, business, some writing, some personal, some like they all kind of blend together. But I was like, oh yeah, no, not exactly. So I immediately took my 6-month group coaching program, shifted it, made it into a one-on-one coaching program, shifted and started creating some different group work, used the sovereignty system, which I had created throughout this, and realized this is actually what I want to be doing. As that was happening, all of a sudden I had an email come in about creating a podcast. And I was like, my mom had just passed. I'd kind of put some things off. And when I pulled it up, it turns out I'd already purchased this program with Jenna Kutcher and to create a podcast. And that all of a sudden I was like, this is it. And what are you going to name your podcast? Sovereignty Rising. And it was like boop, boop, boop. And things started to flow as soon as I went back into alignment with myself. When I was out of alignment until that moment, I was struggling. Like, okay, well, I gotta market this way. I gotta do this. And none of it felt really right. I knew the work was right. I knew what I was doing was good and benefited the world, but I didn't know. And I say that not egoically, but because I'm in a constant state of flow with divine, and we all have access to this information. And because I allow myself to be in a state of channel work, I'm open to what I'm being told to do. Sovereignty wasn't my idea. It was an absolute inspiration. And every time I had a question, it was answered. So I am very much in co-creation with Source, with Mother, Father, God, Source, whatever you want to call it. And so from that point of view, when I started to realize like, oh, I'm not quite in alignment, and I made those little shifts and pivots, all of a sudden, all this anxiety, and I've been struggling with anxiety intensely for 4 months. I thought the anxiety was about another business project, financial, in regards to some commercial property. And all of a sudden it was like, oh no, your anxiety, if you've listened to any of my other videos, anxiety is a little warning light. It's like, whoop, whoop, hey, hold up, danger, danger. And as soon as I clued in and I was like, oh, that's what it's been trying to tell me, then all of a sudden I could make all these little shifts and pivots. And very quickly, within maybe 10 days, get back on track, fully come back into alignment with myself, and start moving at a much cleaner pace with clarity. And that is what is so incredible about this, is once we come back into alignment, there's clarity. And I don't mean like all of a sudden you just know all the answers. I just mean like you can feel it. There's like excitement starts coming. Instead of anxiety, it's excitement. And you ask a question and you get an answer almost immediately, whether it's through a podcast, a YouTube video, a reel, whether it's through a book. I get tons of my coaching and my mentors have come to me through books, whether it's a friend, all sorts of an email. All of a sudden we just get divine co-creation. And our guardians, our guides are with us all the time. It's just that we don't always hear them. And so that's what this means, to come back into ourself. We're here, we're present. We're present. The truth is, most of us were trained to abandon ourselves. When things get hard, we abandon ourselves to perform, to numb, to collapse. It's not alignment, it's survival. So if you think of it that way, when your nervous system's dysregulated, your intuition goes totally offline. And my intuition is one of my top values. So you start reacting from old patterns, pleasing, fixing, numbing. Maybe it's having some drinks or, something else, watching TV, overperforming, making sure everybody tells you that you're doing okay. So it feels like you lose yourself in chaos. It's not a flaw. It's programming. And we can totally rewire this. So today what I wanted to share was a somatic grounding practice. So I want us to drop into our bodies for a moment, because talking about alignment is good, but its embodiment is where the shift happens. So I want you to just take a comfortable seat. And as you take a nice comfortable seat, I just want you to close your eyes. Now, if you're driving, do this with your eyes open and maybe just notice the back of your thighs and your buttocks in the seat, the back of the chair and your back. Notice that connection, maybe the feet and the pedals. If you are anywhere else and it's possible, if you're out walking, even just being present, softening the gaze, maybe feeling into the soles of your feet as the body moves. Otherwise, if you're at home or you're somewhere where you can sit, maybe you soften the gaze if it's not quite right to close the eyes. That doesn't feel good. But I want you to inhale deeply through your nose. Start to slow it down a little, maybe 3-4 counts. And then I want you to exhale through your mouth, maybe with a gentle sigh or a ha. Feel your feet on the floor. Continue with these breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Wiggle your fingers, roll your shoulders. Even just sigh it out. And ask yourself, what am I holding that isn't mine? Let your body answer, not your mind. Let your body answer. And repeat this with me. I am allowed to be in my body. I am allowed to feel safe. I'm allowed to pause. I'm allowed to choose. I'm allowed to be in my body. I'm allowed to feel safe. I'm allowed to pause. I'm allowed to choose. Take another breath in. Absorb that. Take another breath out and just let it all go. And just notice that. So 4 tools that I want to share with you to stay aligned in the chaos. So let's make it practical. Here's what I use, teach, and return to when shit hits the fan. So 1, anchor to your core values. Do not make decisions from panic. Pause and ask, what do I want to stay loyal to today? What do I want to stay loyal to today? So when I asked this question, remember I said my values were sovereignty, so to be self-governing, not be pushed or pulled by fears, worries, resentments. So to make sure that I'm in alignment with myself. Intuition, to be in a constant state of co-creation with source, with my highest self, to be in connection. Under my intuition is spiritual growth, spiritual development. Those all sit underneath my intuition. Courage and curiosity. So curiosity is another real strong one for me. I ask curious questions a lot. It helps me stay present with somebody. It helps me not judge. So curiosity is really important. Curiosity for myself, curiosity for the world around me. So being really curious and like, what happened? You know, that's a big question when something's going wrong. What happened to you? That one question helped me move through a whole entire releasing of trauma connected to my mom over the last year, but especially in January when she fell all of a sudden and she passed away 9 days later. And all of a sudden I was going through all these huge memories coming up, all this trauma was coming up. And I was able to use my breath and my curiosity to just keep asking that question over and over again. What happened to you? What happened to you that you didn't protect your only child? What happened to you that you couldn't show me love? What happened? And I wasn't expecting an answer. She was non-responsive. But I was so heart-centered that I just let go of all resentment. And all of a sudden, I could just feel so much release, cathartic. A lot of grief came through. Not so much, there's still grief for the loss of my mom, and that relationship's still there, whether it's, positive or negative. But the grief for the little girl, the grief for every situation, the grief for both parties when trauma happens. So all of that got to come up because I was able to stay present and be really curious and have the courage to sit and stay there versus running away and numbing, versus, having more drinks, having, eating versus all the other things that I could have done, I was able to be more present with myself. And so what do you, ask yourself this question, what do I want to stay loyal with today? My truth, my boundaries, and to be present. So what do you want to stay loyal to today? Alignment means loyalty to yourself when others don't get it. And that's really important because so often we're loyal to other people and we forget that our values have to turn inward. Respect out is also self-respect. 2, move through, don't escape. So you don't have to sit and still to be spiritual. You can shake, sigh, cry, and stretch. Let the energy move. The more you resist chaos, the more it owns you. So let it move through you. Maybe it's dancing, singing, running. Let it move. 3, boundaries protect alignment. Your nervous system doesn't need more people pleasing. I promise you. It needs clarity. Say no. Unplug. Delay the conversation. Clear is kind. Leaky is chaos. So, and as Brene Brown says, clear is kind. Unclear is unkind. So take the pause so you can be super clear with what your needs are, why you have those needs, and then go into a conversation. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I just need to take a step back and think about this, process this, and then I'd love to have a conversation. So keep that in mind as we're moving through these. And then 4, we want to accept the mess without abandoning yourself. So you can be angry and still be aligned. You can be tired and still be worthy. You can be unsure and still deeply connected to your truth. Like I said, get curious. It's clarity doesn't always mean knowing the answers. It means being open for them. Alignment isn't a mood. It's a commitment to return. Take a nice deep breath in and let that go. Now, just breathing together one more time. Inhale, I am with myself. Exhale, I don't have to fix it. Inhale, I remember my truth. Exhale, I am safe to stay aligned. Just repeat that again with your own rhythm. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to have it all figured out to stay grounded in who you are. You just need to stop abandoning yourself when it gets messy. If this video met you in a chaotic moment, I want you to know you are not doing it wrong. You're waking up. And alignment is only and always one breath away. So what's next? You can check out Sovereignty Rising, our new podcast, which I'm so excited about. It's on all of the places. You can subscribe for breath, boundaries, and nervous system truth. You can check out all of everything on this YouTube channel and subscribe. You can join us in the Awakening Circle, my private Facebook group where we have deep conversations in a safe space. Drop I stay with myself in the comments if you're committed to alignment this week. Until next time, I see the light in you, and it is brilliant. Brightest of blessings.